My friend Steve and his wife were going out of town for their anniversary. They have 2 kids and a dog, so they don't travel often, but this time everything lined up perfectly. The kids were away on a school trip, so they asked if I could watch their dog for the weekend. I agreed. I arrived Friday afternoon. Steve had stocked the house with food and snacks, more than I needed, but I wasn't complaining. I like quiet weekends, and I love dogs. Night 1. That night, everything was normal. The dog and I watched movies and relaxed. Around 9 p.m., Steve texted me, "Don't get scared being all alone. It gets pretty spooky at night." I laughed it off. We went to bed around 1 a.m. At exactly 3:21 a.m., I woke up to the dog barking downstairs. Not normal barking. It was loud, aggressive. I went downstairs and found him in the kitchen, standing in front of the basement door. His hair was standing straight up. He looked terrified. I tried calming him down, but he wouldn't stop. When I grabbed the doorknob, he completely lost it, running back and forth, barking like crazy. Thinking it might be an intruder, I grabbed a knife and opened the door. The dog ran up to the doorway, but refused to go downstairs. I turned on the light and went down alone. I checked everywhere, closets, corners, even the bathroom. Nothing, but one thing stood out. It was freezing cold, not normal basement cold. Something felt off. I went back upstairs and stayed in the living room. Eventually, the dog calmed down. Night 2. The next day was completely normal. But that night, it happened again. Same time, same barking. But this time, it was worse. When I grabbed the doorknob, the dog didn't bark. He started crying. I went downstairs again. This time it was still cold, but there was also a horrible smell. I can't describe it, just something rotten and wrong. I noticed pictures knocked over and bar stools on the ground. I set everything back in place and went upstairs. After a while, the dog calmed down. We fell asleep. Morning. The next morning, everything was normal again. No smell, no mess. And the dog walked into the basement like nothing had ever happened. When Steve got home, I told him everything. I expected him to laugh. He didn't. He told me that when the dog was a puppy, he used to bark at that basement door all the time. And then one day, he just stopped. It's been 2 weeks. I still can't explain it. A few years ago, after a breakup, I moved into a quiet apartment complex. It was peaceful, friendly. Everything felt safe. Then one night, I heard running in the hallway. I checked. No one was there. A few nights later, it happened again. Then I started hearing giggling outside my bedroom window. I assumed it was kids. Until one night, I opened the curtain, and no one was there. The sounds kept happening. Every night. One day, the apartment manager asked me to come to her office. She showed me security footage. At 2 a.m., 2 small hooded figures stood outside my door. They didn't move. For 10 minutes. Then one of them tried to open the door. Days later, it happened again. I heard my doorknob shaking. Then a voice said, "Mom, we're home. Please let us in." I looked through the peephole. 2 small figures stood there, heads down. I didn't open the door. They laughed, then disappeared. Later, the manager told me the previous tenant had children, and something terrible happened to them. About 10 years ago, I worked a retail job. One day, I found a pink sticky note on my car. "You're special." Then more notes appeared. Every day. At first, I liked it. It felt nice. Until one day, on my day off, there was a note at my house. "You look cute when you're sleeping." That's when I got scared. The notes turned threatening. "I know where you live." One night, I heard movement inside my house. I checked. Nothing. The next morning, there was a note on my fridge. "You can't keep me away." Everything was locked. No one had a key. I called the police, changed the locks, and eventually, the notes stopped. But to this day, I don't know who it was or how they got inside. Ending. I still don't believe in ghosts, but I can't explain any of this. And honestly, the more time passes, the more terrifying it becomes.